A very warm welcome and thank you for your interest in this very interesting video in which you will get to see in next 15 minutes the sum total of all human endeavor in exploration of space in the last more than 6.5 decades. Primarily, you will see the details of the human or manned space flights, the exploration of moon, the exploration of the red planet, and the exploration of the Lagrange points. Secondly, you will also get to know the answer to the key question of this video, which is there on the thumbnail or the poster of this video. Will the humanity be able to establish habitat on Moon and Mars by 2044, 2 decades from now? At the outset, I want to state that this video would not have been possible had I not got the invite from the Society for History of Technology in cooperation with the German Technology Museum Berlin and DFG funded scientific network Modern Expeditions to give a talk in their conference, which was titled Exploration, Technology and Extreme Environments. The conference was held in German Technology Museum, Berlin, from 2nd May to 4th May. And the topic of my lecture was a little different. It was Habitat on Moon, Mars and Lagrange Points, the new resource areas of 21st century. This video is primarily a recording of the same talk. So I'm extremely thankful to the Society of History of Technology for having given me this opportunity to deliver this talk in Berlin during their conference. I also have a key message for you, which I would like you to see it. And therefore, in case you do not have time enough to see the entire video, kindly do watch the end of this video and see what my message is all about. So without wasting any time, over to my talk. I start my talk by the mention of the launch of Sputnik in 1957. That was the beginning of space age. And let us see how far we have come in terms of space exploration 66 years later than that. And by we, I mean the spacefaring countries, basically US, China, Russia, European Space Agency, primarily France and Germany, India, Israel, Japan, and others. The progress can be measured in terms of the number of satellites that have been launched in the orbit. As on January this year, as per the Union of Concerned Scientists, there are 7,560 satellites in orbit. The number of human space flight programs that have been undertaken, we are all aware Yuri Gagarin was the first man to go into space, and then followed by John Glenn. Then we had this Russian lady who went into space, Valentina. As of July 2019, about 563 people have gone into space, and certainly this is not a man's field alone. This includes 64 women. There have been 6 Apollo missions to Moon. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first 2 people who went and stepped on the moon for the first time, 1969, and from 69 to 72 there were 5 more missions, and total 12 astronauts left this planet, landed on the moon and came back. And then there have been many lander/orbiter missions by other countries, China, Russia, India. Then there are many more missions to the red planet Mars. And lastly, there are also observatories that have been placed in Lagrange points, and these Lagrange points are at a distance of the Earth-Sun Lagrange point is at a distance of 1.5 million kilometers. So these are really extreme distances. And if you see the sum total of all this which I have just said, it is quite evident that humanity is moving towards achieving multi-planetary existence, is trying to evolve to become a multi-planetary species. Just a word on what is the motivation for the humanity trying to achieve this. Whether it is the possibility of an ecological catastrophe staring all of us in the face, or whether it is the possibility of an asteroid hitting the earth once again, the second time. And the first time we all are aware it hit the earth 65 million years ago, which wiped out the entire dinosaurus species and 75% of all living species at that point of time. Or lastly, it is just the pure pioneering spirit of the humans. It's after 6 decades of space exploration, I think it is just that the humanity wants to expand to other worlds. The basic human drive to turn unknown to known. With this as a short introduction, I will cover my presentation in 4 parts. Human spaceflight capability, but that is a basic capability you need to have if we are trying to reach out to Moon and Mars and beyond. And that is the capability to at least go into the Earth orbit 100-200 kilometers above the Earth. Part 2, I'll talk about the space endeavors for establishing habitat on Moon. Part 3, habitat on Mars. Part 4, the last part, endeavors towards establishing presence in the Lagrange points. I will explain you in detail what exactly are Lagrange points. I'm sure we all are already aware about it. Coming on to human space flight capability, this photograph this came out in the papers last month. It's about training of 5 Europeans and 1 Australian to be an astronaut. Yeah, so what I'm saying is an essential prerequisite for humanity to venture towards Moon and Mars is to first have the capability to live efficiently and economically in the Earth orbit, away from gravity, but still within the Earth orbit at a distance of 100 to 200 kilometers. We are all aware about space shuttles, international space stations. So this capability, as I mentioned before, Yuri Gagarin was the first man into space, Valentina, the first woman into space, John Glenn, first American into space. They all went in the time frame of 61, 62, 63. This gentleman went into space in Yang Luai from China, 2003. So this human space flight capability has basically been the domain of governments of US, China, Russia, India, and Japan, European Space Agency, but it is only in 2004 that we had this Spaceship One. The private players have entered this domain. I'll come on to the space endeavors to establish habitat on Moon. Why Moon as a resource area? Firstly, it provides an alternate habitat for humans. For the basic reason, it is closest to the Earth. It has an atmosphere which is quite congenial to the possibility of humans staying there. Then it is also useful for the helium-3 that it has, and helium-3 on the surface of the Moon, it can be processed to give you hydrogen, water, and minerals, which scientists say that in future it will not only fulfill the requirements of the Earth, but will also meet the requirements of a small colony if established, if and when, I won't say if, whenever it is established on Moon. It can also be a good source of solar energy, and lastly, it can be a good transit point for missions into deep space. The endeavors to Moon in 1969, I said Neil Armstrong and the other gentlemen stepped onto the Moon, and then they were followed by another 10 Americans. And if we talk of Russia, Russia has not yet got the capability to send humans into space. Their lander mission was launched sometime in 2023. Then there are missions which have been carried out by India, missions carried out by China. So this is the sum total of all the endeavors. Humans have gone to space only from America. Other countries have sent orbiters. They have been able to launch and put rovers on the surface of the moon. If you see the future missions to moon, another few months from now, Artemis 2, after a gap of almost 50 years, America will be sending a 4-crew manned mission to moon. China also has plans to land man on moon by 2030. As I said, Russia is unlikely to have that capability in the near future. India is planning to send robotic missions to moon. I come to the part 3, space endeavors to establish habitat on Mars. Now, I just want to share, this is the article that was written by Wernher von Braun way back in 1954. The famous German rocket engineer who designed and developed V2 rockets. And this is what he wrote, that can we get to Mars? And he said that we definitely will get to Mars. It will take a century or more. And he has given out how this strength of the Voyage 70 men will, this entire ship that will go, and other details. But this is what he wrote 70 years back. Why Mars is suitable as a backup for the human race. There are various reasons for it. Mars is, unlike Moon, it is much larger planet. The landmass of Mars is almost equal to that of Earth. Mars days almost equal to that of Earth is 24.24 hours and 30 minutes. It is at a good distance from Sun, just about half the distance, so you have good sunlight there. In terms of temperature, it is slightly colder than Earth, but I'm sure in future scientists can take care of that. And the best thing is Mars has a gravity which is 62.5% of the gravity which is on Earth, so it is going to be definitely much easier and convenient for humans to walk there on Mars. Now, various endeavors to Mars. There have been numerous flyby missions, orbiter missions. When I say orbiter missions, it just gets into the orbit of Mars and comes back. Lander missions, after orbiting, it is designed to land on the surface of Mars, stays there, picks up soil, gets back. So, I mean, you can see this. There is a whole lot of spacecrafts which are there in front of you, which have gone and landed on Mars. So, there are adequate number of missions which have taken place as far as Mars is concerned, primarily by America. China has also landed this spacecraft in May 2021. India has put an orbiter mission only last year. So this is the sum total of various endeavors. Future missions to Mars. The biggest obstacle to such missions is the cost factor, and that is why now NASA and other countries and the private companies, they are looking at ways, new concepts to reduce the cost. While nations do want to reach to Mars for national prestige, for scientific reasons, it is only when people like Elon Musk, they get into it and they state an economically viable objective. And he says that he wants to establish a colony on Mars to make profit, to invest his money. that is how this whole concept of space endeavor to Mars is becoming more doable and more practical. I come to the last part, that is exploration of Lagrange points. And you can have a look at this picture. I will explain to you what is, I'll try and explain what is a Lagrange point. Gentlemen, these are like, if you are sitting here and we are under the gravitational pull, and if we had to move out, keep on moving away from Earth, and the gravitational pull of Earth starts to reduce, and let's say if you are going towards the sun, the pull of the sun increases, and then there comes a point where the pull of Earth and sun, it counterbalances each other. So but this is not a stationary point, because in any case the Earth and sun are moving. So this again is a dynamic point, and it's not a point, it's a huge area where if you put an object, if you put a spacecraft, if you put an observatory, it remains in a state of equilibrium. So these are the Lagrange points, and this was discovered way back in 1772 by this Italian mathematician Lagrange. It's also called liberation point. It is these areas are liberated from any gravitational pull. You require minimal energy to remain in that orbit, and each major planet has got 5 Lagrange points. So, and these are being exploited by nations to basically place observatories. The Herschel Space Observatory was put in the L2 Earth Sun Lagrange point at a distance of 1.5 million kilometers. It remained in orbit for 4 years. We have the James Webb Telescope, which is also in the Lagrange point. It is still operational. I come to the end of my lecture, and to conclude, I would like to say that in last more than 6 decades, humanity has made significant progress in sending humans to Earth orbit. I repeat, we have already sent almost about 580 odd astronauts into space. Humanity has also taken some initial significant steps towards sending man to moon, orbital missions to moon, lander missions to moon. Also made significant progress in exploration of Mars. We also maintained our presence in the various Lagrange points. Here I would like to say that what Werner von Braun said in 1954, it is definitely going to come true, because today, after 6 decades of exploration of space, we are poised to establish habitat on moon and subsequently on Mars. The question is, who is going to do it and when is he going to do it? Whether it is going to be US, China, European Space Agency, or a private player, this is only time will tell, but definitely it is going to happen. Here I come to the end of my talk, and I am grateful to the Gesellschaft for Technik Geschichte, the Deutsche Technik Museum, and the Deutsche Forschungsgemeinschaft for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts here. And thanks, Dr. Martin Maisk, for helping me out in all my queries that I had over the last 45 days before I finally landed up here. The key message that I wish to share through this video is that exploitation of space is a unifying force for all of us across the globe, irrespective of our nationality, to work towards a common goal for the good of humanity. A classic example of this is the COSPAS-SARSAT satellite constellation, which comprises 65 satellites, and this constellation has been put together by 45 countries, and this constellation facilitates search and rescue of people, of aircrafts, of uh, ships in distress, and has already provided assistance in search and rescue of more than 60,000 people. In the end, I would like to say that I hope the exploration of Moon and Mars continues, and I also hope that in next 5 to 6 decades, such an exploration of Moon and Mars leads to a limited alternative backup for humanity. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and in case you have any comments or you have any questions, please do write it down in the comment section. I will try and answer it. Thank you very much.